first, food technology is like the most interesting space right now. And actually, I'm going to plug a friend's book because it's right here. My friend Jacobobo wrote this book called Why Smart People Make Bad Food Choices. And it's kind of on the psychology of food, but it's also really, it's like a really great look into how human beings think across a variety of issues, but it's kind of focused around food, but you can pull out tidbits. And a lot of people don't know this, but food labeling is one of the strangest things on the planet. Like why we label food certain ways literally depends on the production process. And there are multiple production processes that can be labeled natural, organic, vegan, kosher, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So in where we ended up taking the technology to found Cellibre, and this is not the basis of our company, it's just the first app. So really, you know, if you take a step back and you think about, and I'll get back to the labeling thing in a second. If you think about biology as a manufacturing technology, which is kind of where we started, your body makes medicines for COVID, the flowers outside make beautiful fragrances and beautiful colors. Think about a cell as like a manufacturing facility. It's like a building. And in that building, there are a bunch of assembly lines. And all of those assembly lines take nutrients and then turn those nutrients into stuff. So the flower is taking nutrients from the soil, water, sunlight, and manufacturing colors and fragrances. And every single cell on the planet does this. So we came across this crazy industry called cannabis. And I'll be honest, I had to go get a coffee before we started this because caffeine is my only vice. I don't drink wine. I don't smoke anything. I'm just not, that's not my phenotype anymore. And I just, you know, don't do it. So I was a little trepidatious, but I started studying the plant. And here in San Diego, we actually had the world's foremost therapeutic company that had the world's first FDA approved cannabis derived medicine for childhood seizures called GW Pharmaceuticals. And I got introduced to their executive team and I got to go look at this, look at all their data. What were they studying this plant for? What were they doing? And I came out of that meeting and I called my partner in crime, Spiros, our CTO. And I said, Spiros, holy shit, the stoners were right. This plant cures everything. I can't believe what I just looked at. They had data, everything from what you would expect, pain, anxiety, but also data in diabetes and data in glioblastoma, the most deadly form of brain cancer. And I was just stunned. Now, the issue is, if you think about the cell as a manufacturing facility, that cannabis cell has 400 assembly lines, and it is not very good at regulating those nutrients to the right assembly lines. So one time you may get a lot of this molecule called CBD that I'm sure everybody's familiar with. And then another time you might get a lot of this molecule called limonene, which is this interesting terpenoid. And then the next time you may get a lot of this molecule called THC that's going to get you a little bit loopy and euphoric, right? And there's 400 of these chemicals in the cannabis plant and it's never the same. So we said to ourselves, do we think smoking a plant into your lungs is the best way to consume this medicine? I'm going to go with no. I think the tobacco industry has done a fine job of telling us smoking plants into your lungs isn't good. So can we consume it in different ways? And I think the answer is yes. We're seeing beverages, patches, you know, even consuming into your lung, vape pens, pills, all kinds of different form factors. So what we do at Cellibre is we take that cannabis cell and we go in and I say, okay, I want the assembly line just for CBD. And I pop it out of the cannabis plant. And we move it over to a cell like yeast. So think about a brewery, like any brewery that you've ever been in. And we put out that assembly line in a yeast cell, and then we feed that yeast sugar water in a big fermentation tank, like any brewery you've ever been in. But instead of beer coming out the back end, comes pure natural CBD from sugar. So we remove the need for the plant completely from the supply chain. And what's cool about this is literally almost everything. So number one, back to the food labeling. Believe it or not, if you go and read what constitutes a natural label, in there it says a fermented product using yeast. So our products, even though we never touch a plant, will be labeled natural. And if you've seen these products like Beyond Meat and Impossible Burgers, these plant-based meat products, they use pea protein. And in their process of turning that pea protein into a meat substitute, they have a ton of byproduct. And in that byproduct is sugar. And they use organic peas. So believe it or not, I could feed my cells the waste streams from an Impossible Burger and my products will be labeled organic, and we never
Wow.
touch a plant. And this is the crazy way that food labeling works. So people are like, oh, Ben, you're making synthetic cannabinoids and those are terrible. And I say, no, 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 no. We're going to be labeled natural, vegan, kosher, organic. Right. And a good proxy for this is our CSO actually developed the cell that was the version 1.0 cell for a big ingredient company to make fish oil, actually one half of it DHA. So if you take DHA in anything, your milk, your vitamins, a fish oil tablet, more than likely it didn't come from fish. It came from a vat in the middle of Iowa from a fermented algae. So this is the way a ton of ingredients are made, and people don't even know about it.